Today I'm going to be interviewing the owner of this all original 2009 Nissan GTR. Now it does have some performance modifications and exhaust modifications, but it is pretty much as close as I can find to a stock original GTR. And I think that this will be the future holy grail. You know, you want to find a clean, non-modified OG GTR. So we're going to find out why he bought this car, why he's owned it for I think close to 5 years now, and yeah, just go experience a GTR in its true form. Here is the owner of the GTR.
Hi, my name's Tyler. I own this 2009 Nissan GTR.
And why do you drive an 09 GTR?
I drive the GTR because I love it. I grew up where these were, like, right when they came out, they were setting records and they were just awesome. And the video where on Top Gear, Jeremy Clarkson races it across Japan and he beats the bullet train, that was really cool. And it was the same red color. I believe it still had the white interior like mine does, so it might have even been the same spec. I saw one, you know, in person when I was 10, and I still have a magazine that I bought around the same time. I'd never been in one. I just loved it. I knew I needed one. And so that's how I ended up here.
So you've had this car for 5 years. I've known you.
Yes, I have. I have had it for 5 years.
Yeah, and why was it this car when you finally, you know, saved up your money and you could buy an expensive car, that it was the GTR instead of like an M4, an M3, something like that?
So it is, I love the all-wheel drive. I've always loved the look of these, the four taillights in the back. I love the front end of this, even though the older, like the 09 to 11, they've started to get more dated. I still love personally the way that this looks. I just knew I needed one.
Yeah, no, I think that the OG GTR design is aging so well. I mean, thanks to the fact they haven't brought out a new one, basically.
Yeah.
But this car is so underappreciated right now, and I think as the times go on, it's going to be the one to have.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
So speaking of this car, values, because this car has sort of defied every market trend.
Yeah.
Well, how much did you pay for it back then?
So I bought this in January of 2021. I paid $59,500 before dealer fees. But you can still buy them around that same price range. Now, obviously, you'll see some with, you know, 75,000 miles that are in like the low 50s, or you'll see one that's got, you know, 15,000 miles that's in the mid 70s. Not that that would ever sell, but people will have it listed for that. So they're still above the $55,000 range where you can buy them. And so they're still an obtainable car for a lot of people, because that's under like an M4 or M3 or any new stuff that's come out. So it's still just really an obtainable car. So and it's held its value really well, even though I've put 22,000 miles on it, and I'm not going to stop.
So can you walk me through some of the things on the original GTR that they've changed on the latest model? Okay,
so on, you know, minus some like minimal, they did some mild engine updates where they updated the turbo inlets, changed the tune. On the newer GTRs, there is a like a light here, depends on which generation, but there's like a DRL right here. And then on the back, they have a slightly different, well, it's not slightly, it's significantly more aero looking back end. And the lights got changed from these like multiple small lights to a big LED ring. And then you get the classic lightning bolt, which is what a lot of the, you know, the big GTRs like you see on Instagram and stuff, they've got that really cool lightning bolt in the headlights, and those are stock headlights, which is just really cool.
Yeah, but other than that, they haven't really changed anything on this car.
Not a whole lot, not that I can, you know, point out, other than, you know, the interior is a lot different, right? But the car itself hasn't changed a whole lot.
That's kind of crazy for a car that's 2008, and when they stopped production just recently?
Yeah, like last year or a year before. It's hard to keep up because they keep changing their minds.
So the interior, you basically have an older steering wheel, but other than that, it's very, very similar.
They updated like the LED screen or the LED gauge cluster, and then the screen in the middle got bigger, and it's a way nicer screen, and that whole interior looks better. But other than like, in terms of like actually getting out and driving the car, the newer ones are just a little more quiet. That's about it, other than the, you know, the power, which you can make, just put some mods on it.
Yeah, speaking of power, how much does this car make stock?
So it makes 485 stock. Now, the engines are hand-built. At the time, I believe it was 4 people that were building them. They made 485, but that wasn't always, you know, the truth, because sometimes they made a little more. They were all completely different because they were hand-built. This one's making like 520, 530, so it's not a ton. It's not even full bolt-on. I still have another, you know, 200 horsepower or so to go. But it's in that sweet spot where it's fun to drive. It's not quite dangerous yet, and I don't get in trouble with the police.
Yeah, well, I feel like if you have only got into the car scene recently, you see the BMWs are taking over sort of the easy modification world. But back in the day when I was a kid, and I'm still young, this was the car to have. This was, everyone wanted a GTR. Everyone was making 700 horsepower pretty much as soon as they bought it.
Yeah, I remember when I was in high school, like a decade or so ago, I remember seeing those 1320 videos where it's like the 1XXX horsepower. Every GTR had 1XXX horsepower. Nobody wanted to talk about how much horsepower their car had. It was just weird.
Yeah, and nowadays it's hard to find one that isn't modified.
Yeah, that's true. I think everybody I know that owns one, like out of the 100 or so owners that are in Kansas City, I think there's like maybe 15 that are like either stock or near stock. The rest of them are, you know, wheels, full bolt on, or, you know, all the way up to 2200 horsepower.
Dang.
So
yeah, I mean, I was looking for a long time to actually find a close to stock GTR to interview. It's one of the questions you asked me, why have I not done a GTR yet?
Yeah, I did ask him that.
I did a Juke R, which is like, I don't even know how that was possible. But yeah, a GTR has been so hard to find one that has stock wheels, no Liberty Walk kit, no crazy stuff going on. So thanks for doing this interview.
Of course, anytime.
Do you mind if we go for a ride in it?
Yeah, sure, let's do it.
I love the door handles on this car.
They're so fun.
They're so cool. I gotta say, the GTR from this generation is one of my favorite cars I've ever been in. I don't know why. I'm not a JDM guy, I just love this car.
It's fun. That's why.
Yeah. I mean, typically I lean more towards like the European stuff, but for some reason, this car just has way more presence, I think, and way more just history around it in a way, at least in my childhood, because of Top Gear. And like I said, back in the day, this was the most popular car on the planet. Like, this was the G82 M4 of its day.
Literally.
So yeah, what is it like to actually drive it?
It's very like planted. It feels like you're stuck to the road, which is perfect. If you want a car that handles great. The suspension adjusts itself, like when you're driving and you're turning at speed, it'll adjust itself 10 times a second. So it's constantly working and maintaining its position. There's not, you know, a ton of body roll, which is great because it is a heavy car.
So a lot of people I know want to buy a GTR, but they're nervous. What should they look out for when getting one?
When you get one, make sure you get a PPI. Just get a PPI, a pre-purchase inspection, and do it at a dealership. Don't do it with some shop. It doesn't matter how many GTRs they have on the front cover of their page. Take it to a dealer who will look at it. Now, I bought a stock one, right? So I should have taken it to a dealer. There's like a handful of shops, you know, on the east and west coast that would, you know, probably be better than a dealer, but 90% of the time, the dealer's going to know more than the shop that might try to screw you. And I know a lot of people don't trust dealerships, but you just need to get a PPI.
I'll be honest, I actually got to drive a 2020 GTR, I think it was the 50th anniversary with the blue and white, and I've ridden in this car a few times, and I much prefer the way that the older GTRs handle and drive.
Yeah, just the way that it, like, the way that it sounds, where you can hear, like, you just heard the transmission like clatter, like the stuff you hear like that, it makes you feel like you're driving something that you shouldn't be driving on the road, right? Like, it feels like a race car. It sounds like a race car. And so that I much prefer over the newer ones in that regard. Now the interior is a lot more comfortable. And if you're driving, you know, 1,000 miles, I would much rather be in a new one. But in terms of me just driving around town or going to a car meet or, you know, taking one of my friends for a ride, I prefer that.
Yeah. And do people still react crazy to these cars?
Every once in a while, like literally yesterday, I had a neighborhood kid come and stop at my house while I was washing it. And he was asking me all this stuff about it. It depends, because now I feel like the trend is like the M4s and the GT3s and stuff like that. But I still have lots of people, you know, when I go to the gas station, come up to me, dude, is that a GTR? Like, can you show me the interior? You know, can I start it? Stuff like that. And I always think that's really cool because, you know, when I was a kid, I didn't see very many of them, but every time I saw a GTR owner, they were always really cool.
Yeah.
And so every time somebody, you know, comes up to me and says something, you know, about that, I always try to like go out of my way to take some time to talk to them. Because, you know, it might make somebody's day, or, you know, it might inspire them in the future to buy one.
Yeah. I think it's hard for those of us that weren't in that era to grasp just how big a deal this car was back in 2010 to 15. Like, this was the most popular car on social media. Every kid, this was their dream car. Like, this was beating all of the supercars. And, you know, as time has moved on, unfortunately, Nissan has not moved on. And this car is kind of what we've got still, about 15 years later.
Literally. Yeah,
So-
Nissan has not moved on at all.
No. But this car is still amazing. It's insane performance. And the fact that this came out in 2008 is crazy.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, it's wild. And, you know, back then it was beating records. You know, it beat the 911 Turbo on the Nürburgring. And Porsche was mad
Yeah.
because their precious 911 was dethroned by a Nissan.
Yeah.
And so I just find it funny. I love 911, so there's no hate in me saying that. I'd totally own one, but I think this car just I like it better.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing this interview. I appreciate getting the chance to actually interview an OG GTR. It's been so hard to find one. I cannot stress that enough. Thank you so much, Tyler.
Absolutely, anytime.
And if you want me to interview you and you have an interesting, rare, crazy modified or completely stock car, DM me on Instagram at Magna Cars. We can set something up, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Remember, God loves you. Never, ever quit on your dreams.